Adolf Hitler fails to end his own life, but instead, he wakes up nearly 70 years in the future, where he's about to face the modern reality of Germany. Who knows, maybe he'll find some people who respect him again. This is the story of Look Who's Back. We start this movie during World War II, and we follow Hitler, who just happens to be with a behavior coach, named Keppel, somewhere in Berlin. Hitler is just there complaining about how people should at least do half a Nazi salute to show respect, no matter how old-fashioned it may be. Hitler narrates how much effort he's put into destroying the enemy that desecrated the German soil. Hitler mentions that he finds the existence of Germany incomprehensible, and that's alarming that he's here too. Cut to the next scene, where he wakes up somewhere in a forest looking up at the sky, thinking that maybe the enemies have taken a rest since there is no aircraft attacking. Suddenly, his rest is interrupted by a ball that comes bouncing his way. He gets up and walks to the building on the other side of the bush he had been lying unconscious on. Near the building, he finds 3 kids that question if he's okay. Hitler looks at them, as if they are the future of the nation. He asks them to guide him to a nearby street. That very same instant, reporter Fabian Sawatzki appears. He's filming the kids with his camera when he sees Hitler picking up his uniform cap from the floor, and saying that he needs to go to the Führer bunker. When Hitler arrives on the street, he's amazed to see people riding segways. He sees that people are photographing him, and exclaims that people have gone mad through the rubble went. He's amazed by the modernity of everything, even cars, which makes him wonder if he was in a coma and didn't get to see the victory. He realizes he's going to need a little help to get more information on what's going on. He asks a man for the chancellery, but the guy just asks Hitler to take a picture with him. The number of people going for photographs and flashes disturbs Hitler. And he gets dizzy and confused, with a lot of people asking for more and more photos. He soon finds a woman speaking on her phone. He approaches the woman and asks for the current date, but the woman feels threatened and intimidated and mazes Hitler. Now his eyes burn and his vision gets all blurry, but somehow manages to walk up to a newspaper kiosk. To make his shock even bigger, he sees the date there on October 3, 2014, which makes him immediately pass out on the ground. Meanwhile, on a TV station, the boss Karmer is praising Christoph Sensenbrink for the amazing job he's done as the deputy's head. But when it came to announcing the promotion, the big new job went to Katja Bellini, another one of the employees on the table. This clearly upsets Christoph, who goes back to his office to vent out and release his anger at a filmmaker wannabe named Fabian. Even though Fabian tries to convince his boss really hard, he still gets fired and is thrown out by the guards. When Hitler wakes up at the kiosk, he asks the owner for the date, and the man confirms the date is correct. Hitler is completely confused. He interrogates the shopkeeper if this is all part of the enemy's plan, and if he's a Secret Service agent, and goes as far as to threaten to kill the shopkeeper. The man is even more confused than Hitler and gives him a bar of candy. When Hitler opens it, he calls it industrially pressed grain, and once again doubts as he asks the shopkeeper if the bread shortage continues. The shopkeeper just asks Hitler if they are filming a documentary or something near there, thinking he's just an actor. He goes on to say that he looks exactly like the Führer, which Hitler confirms by saying that it is because he is the Führer. Hitler uses the newspapers to gather information on what's going on, and while he reads the news he notices that it's obvious he did not win the war and that now Germany was given to the hands of a clumsy woman with no charisma. He laments that Poland still exists and that the war seems to have been a total waste. Somewhere else, Fabian is watching his video reporting on soccer while crying as his mom tries to calm him. She mentions that he should pause the video and look closely at the video, where at the edge of the screen there's a person that looks like Hitler. Fabian had not noticed this. Back with Hitler, the shopkeeper asks Hitler to clean his mess and try to work, but maybe to get his clothes clean first, as he stinks. He goes to the laundry and asks them to clean his uniform, and also asks for a spare uniform since he can't just wait naked. We cut to Hitler going back to the newspaper store with some jeans and a sweater. But Fabian somehow managed to track him down, and he's waiting for him outside the shop. He's amazed by how much the man resembles Hitler. Fabian gets the idea to ask him if he can film him as he marches through modern-day Germany, and Hitler of course likes the idea. Fabian has some cash and the car of his mother and begins the road trip adventure with Hitler. Now that's something I never thought I'd say. After a while they end up in a hotel. Hitler is still amazed just by watching the television. He decides it would be a good idea to discuss politics in Fabian's presentation. The two of them go around asking people for their views on politics. Then Hitler found out that there's been little impact on democracy since he left. He finds that the discontent and anger in many of the people reminded him of the people in 1930s that had similar views, but they lacked the so-called political disenchantment. Many people actually tell Hitler about the problem of the immigrants, and Hitler uses the opportunity to push on his idea of the pure race. After a while, they arrive at a farm where Hitler gets bit by a dog and gets enraged and shoots the animal. Fabian doesn't like this, scolds him, and takes the gun away from him. Fabian runs out of cash and thinks of a plan to make some quick cash by selling Hitler's drawings to passers-by people. Come on, you know it's at least interesting to have your drawing made by Hitler. He draws pretty sarcastic images of the people, and of course, they pay, getting them back on the road. As they arrive back in town, Fabian decides to show a clip of the Hitler videos to Christoph, who's impressed by the number of views the video has online. He asks Fabian for a contact number and the name of Hitler, and after finally meeting him, Christoph only thinks that Hitler is a lunatic. He asks Fabian to just take the man away from the office, but before leaving, Hitler goes into the director's office to ask for her help to save Germany. She thinks it's an interesting idea, and she wants to hear about the plan. Immediately she asks her assistant to prepare the proper TV broadcasting format for Hitler. Fabian threatens Christoph. He either gives him back his job or walks out and takes Hitler with him. Christoph makes a strange promise to promote him when there's a new editorial post open. So, a while later, Heidels has a table in the TV studio, and Christoph calls for Kromeyer to help the Führer with the computer. They try to help Hitler set up a contact email, even though his name is already taken. Christoph has the idea to give Hitler a comedy show called, Whoa Dude! Bill and Ted would be proud here. He wants to use this opportunity to sabotage Bellini for being promoted instead of him. Bringing racism and sarcastic jokes about Jews and throwing out Hitler. So when the show begins, the host calls Hitler onto the stage, and the audience seems amused. They gossip and talk about it. Hitler goes completely silent as he stares into the audience. He soon starts to speak, but he's not reading the prompter. He explains that he's supposed to tell dark jokes but he won't, then he complains about the nonsense they produce on the great invention that is the TV. He focuses on talking about the problems of poverty and unemployment, and that the country is heading into an abyss, and they are yet to realize it. Hitler gives his word that he'll fight against the TV until they shed light on all these issues, and that he will overpower them. People cheer. I mean, it does sound like he's got a really valid point. The original host for the show, Witzigmann, is jealous of Hitler's popularity, and Bellini asks Christoph to get Hitler into every show possible. Once again, things didn't go as planned for Christoph. Hitler continues riding his wave to fame, gives numerous interviews, and says that he just wants to give Germany all its glory back. He grows so much in popularity that he even gets to meet party leaders and charms them with his ideas and charisma. Hitler and Fabian even get to visit the NPD headquarters in Berlin and call for the federal chairman of NPD, Ulf Bern, to ask him what he has achieved so far. Hitler makes fun of him and says that they've taken the movement decades back by their words, effectively belittling him. One day even the cops and district attorney appears on the TV studio, and Christoph is excited about this. It might finally be his chance. They are in the studio for complaints of the violation of hate laws, and Bellini asks what are they to do with these complaints. Christoph jumps out to suggest they need to cancel the Führer show. But the DA says they can keep on broadcasting and they leave. Kromeyer handed Christoph a letter for the payment of the debt of the dog Hitler killed a while back. Could it be a second chance? When Hitler is put on TV again where they ask him about what he did during the war, and he responds that he just wants to reach out to people, the interviewer won't let him dodge the question and pressures him. He shows the audience the video of Hitler shooting the dog, which disturbs the audience. Hitler threatens to do the same to him, and that he'll turn the studio into parking lots for tanks. People are shocked and give a really negative response. This is music to Christoph's ears. Bellini is fired for this, and they finally appoint Christoph as the new manager. Fabian and Hitler begin living together when he decides to write a second book. Crazy enough, when the book is released it's a hit on the market. He's successful and popular again it seems. 3 months later the studio is in a meeting. They've been having a massive loss, and Christoph believes that Witzigmann's show is the secret to putting them back on track, but he has quit the job. Christoph is really mad, and one of the employees suggests they should get Hitler back on the air. Christoph immediately contacts Fabian again and tells him that he will invest $1 million in the film and that he wants both of them back in the studio. Fabian and Hitler visit Kromayer's house, a visit that didn't please Kromayer's grandma, who sees Hitler and gets angry, for she says that he killed and gassed all her people and kicked them out. Back with Fabian, Hitler says that he couldn't believe that Kromayer was a Jew, and starts insulting all the Jews, claiming they are less than humans. This upsets Fabian. Once they are back in the studio and on the set, Fabian gets Hitler to recreate the moment he appeared in the woods. He also asks where was he before that and how he got there, which Hitler say he doesn't remember. As he walks out of the studio that night, he's attacked by a band of thugs who were waiting for him, and after a massive blow to the head, he's knocked. When he wakes up he's in the hospital, and Bellini is with him. Meanwhile, Fabian is replaying the video of the moment he found Hitler, and he sees Hitler getting up from where he was lying. When Fabian goes back to that place to do some research he finds that there's a sign that says it's a historical place, for that was the location of the Führer's bunker. As Fabian hurries back to the hospital for Hitler he can't find him anywhere. Bellini says she's going to the shooting set when Fabian reveals to her that the guy has always been indeed the real Hitler, but of course, she does not believe him. I mean, come on. Fabian gets mad trying to explain his theory, but then the guards try to catch him, and somehow he manages to escape. When he reaches the set he aims the gun at Hitler, and asks who he truly is. Hitler replies that he has not lied and that he's never claimed to be someone other than who he is, Adolf Hitler. Fabian says that Hitler has been brainwashing people and fooling them with his propaganda. Hitler calmly replies that back in 1933 the people of Germany elected the same ideals and openly. He takes Hitler at gunpoint to the top of the building and says that he's a monster. Hitler keeps calm and said that the ordinary people simply chose an extraordinary man to lead their country, all because they share the same values deep within. Fabian has had enough, he shoots Hitler and sees him fall off the building. But right then he hears the voice of Hitler again, telling him that no German can get rid of him, and appears behind Fabian. Cut. Bellina calls in the studio, and everyone cheers. It was a good shoot after all. What happened you may be wondering? Turns out it was just the shooting of a film, and it was some actor playing the role of Fabian, and Hitler proceeds to say a few words to the comrades who could not be there with them. Somewhere don't know, Kromayer is sobbing as he watches a mad Fabian through the hole in a mental ward. Hitler and Bellini are super famous, and as they pass by people are fond of Hitler and they respect him a lot. And that's it for Look Who's Back. What a twist we had there, right? Subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Switch on notifications, and leave a like to support us.